Conversely, 11 sacrificial lambs to the slaughter. I think that's probably what most people think of a Motherwell side still yet to record a Premier Division win, and minus a suspended Martin McBride. And there's Rangers. 14 goals in 3 games means they are decidedly on the boil, but they'll have to be on the boil today without Ali McCoist, who's injured, rested, I think, as well as any injury to him for an important game on Wednesday. And there's the Aberdonian referee, Sandy Roy. Well, the referee cannot start the game just now because this huge crowd is still coming, and there's been a bit of an overspill, and the referee wisely not allowing the game to start until this huge crowd is comfortably settled. Well, a lot of people might be assuming a walkover for Rangers this afternoon, but the Motherwell manager, Tommy McLean, has come out with fighting talk. He doesn't want any defeatist attitude in anybody in the claret and amber strip. We're doing a bit of a riot act because I think most of us had written the side off. And there is a free kick with barely 30 seconds gone. Free kick to Motherwell. Nicely judged, and that swirls away. Towering kick out by Woods. There's Durant, not messing about. Mark you, that really would have to be drilled and accurate at the same time. He was way out. Probably the instruction is shoot on sight, and that's exactly what you'll see now happening. Up it comes Wump. Play, and that is a corner kick, yes. Davy Cooper will take this. He's probably flighting it into the wind. See from the corner flag there. Oh, he plays a short one. Stevens. Oh, there's goal! Well, he couldn't have been closer, could he? Excellently flighted ball in there by Gary Stevens. He did what I thought Davy Cooper was going to do in the first place. You can see this. Just elevated slightly. Good diving header by Goff. He did a little bit of courage. Right through Butcher. Smith wanted to lay it to the side, and that was a great chance. A very good run indeed by Smith. He did the right thing, you know. Sometimes people get cold feet given this opportunity against a renowned defence, but he took it to them, and it just slid away, the wrong angle. Looked to be as if Ian Ferguson, who went for that ball, is limping slightly. He's slight limp there. Not too happy. Cooper, very good with the head. There's Wilkins. Stevens. Lots of space. Walters, we've seen very little of him. So the Motherwell defenders are glad of that. I think he gets a free kick out of the tackle, though. Chip for no challenge, and the goalkeeper, oh dear. Cameron Duncan really froze. Goalkeeper didn't really seem to be in any great danger or under any great strain, but sort of went to that rather feeble panning out. Beautifully spread out there. But you see how Motherwell forced on them very quickly. Slide was almost timed. We've gone 20 minutes, and I have seen many a better game than this, believe you me. But doesn't want to waste it. Just beyond Walters. A lot of mistimed passes out there today. As Ferguson plays it easily and simply. Drinko. Ferguson. And that is the first real shot at goal in 21 minutes. Nicely worked here. Ferguson did very well indeed. You see him coming in, difficult to control, laid it well to Drinko, but the goalkeeper narrowed the angle. And watching it carefully to Durant. You notice that Durant's wearing these cycling shorts underneath the pants. This is to prevent any groin strains. It's not as a candidate for the Paris fashion shows, I can assure you. Paul Kinnaird. Nicely slipped forward there by Ray Farningham. There's Walters. Cooper. Overdid it. Cooper, brilliant turn. Here's Durant, and the goalkeeper does very well. He read that well. And Rangers were threatening there. They had 3 men forward. They had totally outnumbered the Motherwell defence. And that was very good goalkeeping. Oh, Durant was late. Here's Walters. And that's a bad ball, and there's a degree of slackness about Rangers, which might be something of a hangover from a rather intoxicating week for them. Free kick to Rangers for that rather reckless and late tackle. That's Tom Boyd, club captain. Whistles in, and Drinko has no chance of getting that. Ferguson. There's Wilkins. So quick at seeing the spaces, and there are some bad balls coming from the Rangers, the midfield players and defenders, and that certainly was one from Gary Stephen. Wilkins, gentlest of touches, Ferguson just kicks it in. That's to Cooper, that's great goal! Oh, beautifully worked. 26.5 minutes gone, Rangers go into the lead through Kevin Drinko. But that really started with this excellent move by Ian Ferguson, who's been very quiet. Now watch this, the dummy and the finish that went, from that angle right through the goalkeeper. And I have to say, he really ought to have saved that, seeing it from that angle. But it counts, Rangers are in the lead. That should be Gall's ball, and he wants to come forward. Oh, the wrong pass forward by Cooper. The trouble was, the men running up front were not running diagonally, they were both running in a straight line. That's not the way you go forward in pairs. Walters, Drinko. Superb pass by Wilkins. Well, Stevens. Break here by Paul Kinnaird. He has a bit of pace about him. And there's Goff. Well, Terry Butcher was lecturing John Brown about that, I think indicating that he'd been caught out of position. To be fair to Brown, he's not a left back as such. Worked away by Ferguson. Picked up here by Griffin. Gary Stevens commits himself. All the way through to Woods. Walters. Durant. Oh, much too obvious. There's Butcher. Wilkins standing in the middle of this pitch, spraying about beautiful balls, waiting for players to run into space, feeding, carrying, the real hub of this Rangers team. No, Ian Durant is a much better player when the ball is put in front of him and he's running out of defence. "32 minutes of the game gone, Rangers in the lead by that single goal." That's tried great, that's Ferguson, too much in it. Philibin. Every now and again, Paul Kinnaird can show us his tricks. There's Walters. Drinkle being fouled, and that will be retaken. Butcher, and the ball, I think, yes, has been given. The Motherwell players are incensed by that. Ian Durant put the ball in the back of the net, and they've gone over to the linesman, and we might begin to understand why they're so incensed. A lovely jump there by Butcher, and the Motherwell defender stood stock still as Ian Durant put Rangers 2 up, and we've played 34 minutes of this first half. Kinnaird. He's doing a bit of running with the ball, Kinnaird, now, to Motherwell's advantage. Trying to stretch the Rangers' defence, difficult though that may be. Butcher, all the time in the world, to Brown. Mooney gets clear. There's Walters. Oh dear, what a finish. A little bit greedy. Not normal like that. He's a very unselfish sort of player and likes to lay it off to people. Well, we've played 45 minutes according to our watch. This should go any second, and it does. Half time, Rangers leading by 2 goals to nothing. Well, they had to play exactly 27 minutes before the deadlock was broken by that man down there, Kevin Drinkle. A beautifully executed goal, and I think a great deal of the credit must go to Ian Ferguson in having a rather quaintish game and floating in a beautiful ball, the dummy, and then the finish. Although, to be perfectly honest, I think the goalkeeper ought to have made a better job of it than that. And then the Rangers captain come up to play his part for the second goal. I mean, that's what he's so good at in the penalty area. The Motherwell players were incensed by this. I think perhaps thinking offside. But the rule is go forward, don't bother about appeals, put the ball in the back of the net, which is exactly what Ian Durrant did. And frankly, I can't see Rangers doing anything other than increasing their tally in the second half. Well, Rangers, as I said, comfortably in the lead, and they must have at the back of their minds, nevertheless, a very important game on Wednesday night. I would imagine they might, well, tactically, with the greatest respect to Motherwell, want to try and kill us off, definitely, very early on in this game, and then maybe put the foot on the brake. That is, of course, totally discounting Motherwell's chances, which I certainly am not, except that Rangers 2-0 up in the driving seat and look very strong indeed now. It's great play by Wilkins. Durrant. No, Drinkle wasn't sharp enough with the square ball. Rangers turn to stare into the wind, stare into the sun, feel the wind in their faces. Gary Stevens trying to keep that in. There's David Shanks, a substitute. No, Cooper took his eye off the ball. Yes, held by Richard Gough. That's a great chance. Dear, dear. Ray Farningham, who scored that rather famous goal in the 89th minute against Rangers in the league a couple of seasons ago, almost snatching another one there. And you could see the Rangers defence not at all happy with having to look into that, son, and the ball's swirling as well. The very first mistake they made. Brown in the clear. Walters wanted it, and then he goes after it. Done well. A beautiful play. Durrant tries to go from the outside. That's good play. Now Cooper. Brown. His players inside him. Stevens. Brilliant. Ferguson. Ian Ferguson coming up. Great piece of play on the left by Rangers. They'd been going through a lull, and then suddenly they erupt into play like this. Good running forward by Brown, and watch Ferguson coming rattling up, and a very fine save by Duncan. Stephen. Ferguson. Motherwell marking closely again. Great ball again by Butcher. Stephen, that's too strong. No, he really misjudged that. It ended near the crossbar, but it's not what he really had in mind, I don't think. Brown, strong. Away goes Walters. Ooh, great shot and save. The game needed that. Well, we all looked as if we were all totally becammed. Nothing much happening, and then that Beautiful little ball forward by Cooper. Walters racing onto it, making up his mind early, firing that in. Excellent save, though. Brown trying to come in from the back. "27 minutes gone almost. Rangers still 2 up. Butcher. Look at that ball, that's superb stuff. Drinkle. Walters tries to come in. Wow. I'll tell you what, this Rangers team has a lot of talent in it, but when you go to the central defender, Terry Butcher, who can throw passes forward like that, then you're doubly blessed. A superb ball forward, which did come from the left foot of Terry Butcher. They deserved a goal for that. There's Bobby Russell again. Well, that's a corner kick. Well, Gary Stevens looked slightly out of sorts today. Again, Goff is there now. Brown. Meant that for Walters, and look at the ground that Bobby Russell had covered. Butcher wanting to come forward himself again. Meant again for Drinkle. Well, the best passing of the game has come certainly from Rangers captain. There he is. Immense stuff. Brown. Well, he really shouldn't have been unmarked like that. And once again, Cameron Duncan showing how professional he is. Difficult ball to take, by the way. The ball headed down, as you'll see. Look at that, he had to snuff it out quickly. Offside. I make it 8 minutes left. Even the faithful are beginning to drift towards the exits. Ferguson! Yes. Typical Ian Ferguson move. We've barely seen him in the second half. And suddenly up he pops with an effort like that. Really is a dynamic kind of player, Ferguson. Whistling in this end. Look, he was falling off balance. That's a beautifully struck shot. Oh, dear. That'll be a booking. Walters lost his temper, and he ought not to have done that. For Walters. Right at the tail end of the game. Quite unnecessary eruption of temper, but these things happen in football. They'll never legislate to stop that. There's Durant, nobody behind him. Goff. There goes the final whistle. 2-0 for Rangers. And the second half I could quite easily forget and almost already have. But that's the man who's set them on the way, Kevin Drinkle, and the Rangers captain. played some quite excellent football out of defence today. And that is a 2-0 victory that Rangers will be very satisfied about, considering the importance of the week ahead.
Graham, I wonder if you were worried about all the lavish but deserved praise your team has had in the past week.
Yeah, the 2 games before this one, actually our team has played extremely well, and they got a lot of praise for it, and quite deservedly so. And you're always concerned about how some of the players will react to all that praise. Unfortunately, not fortunately, it was good professionalism. Today they came out, they were positive, and had the proper attitude again.
I don't mean consciously, but do you think some of them subconsciously had next Wednesday's European game in mind?
At the start of the game, no. I think we started in a positive way. Maybe in the later stages when it's 2-0, 10, 15 minutes to go, maybe some of them eased up.
You'd love to see a goal crafted out of nothing, I suppose. A man who's done it himself. That first goal was a gem.
Yeah, Ferguson done well. Ian Ferguson done well down the line, and he's put a lovely ball in, and I think it may have been Durant who dummied the ball, and Drink stuck it away. That's something you could never coach. That's something a good player sees and makes the right decision at the time.
Sometimes we think of Terry Butcher purely as a defender, but he's very good coming forward, and that really the second goal came from his touch.
Yeah, Terry's always a threat when he goes up. He's only 6'4", and he's as brave as a lion. He puts his head where you and I wouldn't put our feet. He's always going to be a threat.
You weren't a bad passer of a long ball yourself, but could you better some of the passing he had today?
Some of the balls in the later stages of the game, especially I can think of 2 that went down this side of the pitch for Kevin Drinker, were real quality, and they were inch perfect. He's got a really sweet left foot. That's something I didn't really know how good he actually was at passing the ball until I actually got him to Glasgow Rangers.
It's a clash of contrast today, wasn't it, with a club that's got very few resources against one of the richest clubs in Europe. I suppose as a professional, you must be glad that a team fights hard against you like that.
It's never going to be easy coming here. They make it difficult. They choose to play a certain type of way. They feel that is best suited to them. Until you get an early breakthrough, it's always touch and go here. Difficult to come here. It's the wind today. It was raining in the early part of the game. All credit to them. They battled and battled hard. But once we got the breakthrough, I was always confident we'd get another one.